Hey everyone, it's Lexi. Welcome to Top 5 Wednesdays. Today's topic is our favorite children's books. If you're new to Top 5 Wednesdays and interested, I'll leave everything down below in terms of the Goodreads group page that you can go check out topics and all of that stuff. And if you're new to this channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below. I post videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I mostly picked middle grade books in here. All of the children's books that I had when I was like little are in a box downstairs from when we moved, so I don't want to go digging all that stuff out. So I basically stuck with all of the books that I read by myself essentially, and they don't include Harry Potter or any of that, so don't worry about any of the cliche children's books in here. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started. So when I was younger, I didn't really get into obsessively reading until I was in high school, but I still read a lot when I was younger as well, in middle school or grade 5 and 6. So it was easy to find books that I really enjoyed, and this is probably by far one of my favorite series, and it is the Gallagher Girls series by Ali Carter. And what I really like about this book, similar to Harry Potter, the first books start out pretty directed towards a young audience, but as the books progress in the series, they become more and more mature, so that you kind of grow up with the series as well. So this was the equivalent of my Harry Potter growing up, because I didn't start reading Harry Potter until I was going into grade 9. So yeah, it took me a while to jump on the Harry Potter bandwagon, but this was my Harry Potter. I looked forward to the books coming out every year, and so my parents would always take me to the bookstore when it came out, which I really love. So this book series kind of follows the story of Cammy, who goes to spy school, and her 3 friends who are there. And what I really like about this, it kind of starts out kind of teeny bopper stuff in the beginning, but it kind of leads to a bigger plot developing down the road, like Harry Potter, and the first couple books were Harry Potter and his little adventures, but then the plot starts to thicken and becomes more complex. This is basically kind of what this book series did. I really have enjoyed this series. I think there's maybe 6 books in here. So I started reading it when I was in grade 5 or 6, and the last book didn't come out until I was in my first year of university. So it followed me through a big chunk of my life, and I've just really loved it. I want to kind of go back and reread them just because I really love them. I know the first few books will be kind of middle school-y, teeny boppery-esque, but they get really kind of adulty as you kind of read along. So I really have enjoyed this series growing up, and it means so much to me just because it's been through so many years of my life. And so yeah, so this was another series that I think I really enjoyed only the first book in this series, to be quite honest, and it was The City of Ember by Jeanne DuPrau, I think that's how you say it. And I really loved this book growing up. It follows Lena and Dune, who live in the city of Ember. Basically, it's where they live underground, and there's lights, and there's this whole conspiracy theory kind of going along. I really pictured myself being Lena in the books when I was younger. I read this, I think, in middle school, and I was obsessed with this book. I loved it. I read it maybe 3 or 4 times when I was younger. The series overall kind of goes all over the place in terms of just chronological order, so it's a little confusing, but I think this one was always the best, and I always went back to this one. But I just love this series. I haven't read it in a long time, so if I'm feeling nostalgic, maybe I'll pick it up sometime. But yeah, I really loved this growing up. Lena was such a really good role model in here as well. Like I said, I pictured myself as her. She's really smart. She is all this stuff. She was a really good role model growing up, and I really love this series overall. So yeah, it did have a movie that came out, which I remember seeing, but I don't really remember what I thought about it. But yeah, I really loved this book when I was younger, and I just hold it near and dear to my heart. So next, I wouldn't necessarily say it is the series, but the 2 books in this series that I really enjoyed when I was younger, and it was the Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and then also Prince Caspian. I really like and I didn't read the the one about the boats. I didn't read that one, but I read those two, and I really loved this book coming out. I remember when the first movie came out, we saw it from, that was like what we did for my birthday, because I'm a December baby and it came out around that time. But I had like a huge crush on the guy who played Peter. So yeah, but I really loved kind of the fantastical element to this. It was supposed to like kind of like my first foray into fantasy, and I don't know, I think we also read this book when I was, I want to say in grade 3 or 4, so I really kind of like was introduced to this book and series really later on. So I really loved this growing up. It even has like my name. I'll cover up my last name, but like I have my name written in here. Like I remember bringing this to school, reading it. The only downside is I used to like pigtail the corners for my book. But yeah, I'm still really want to try Turkish Delight because of this. But yeah, I really adored this series. I like how it also kind of gets more mature as you further progress between, like, I've never actually read them from beginning to end, so maybe that will be something that I want to do as I'm older. But yeah, I've really enjoyed these books growing up, and so yeah. So next, this was a series that me and my sister both read, and they're a little bit of like kind of middle school chick lit, if you ask me now, but we really loved them when we were younger, and it was like The Secrets of My Hollywood Life by Jeanne Calonita. I don't know how to say her last name, but basically it follows a girl named Caitlin who was on this like soap opera show for so many years, and she wants to once she kind of gets to the high school age, she wants to have a normal life. So she kind of like she does polls. Basically, this was Hannah Montana before Hannah Montana was a thing, so she basically kind of goes in disguise and attends to a high school, and she wants to be normal, and then obviously other things will kind of get in her way. There's about 5 or 6 books in this series, I want to say, and I really loved them. I think Caitlin was just such a really neat character to read from, and just kind of getting that glimpse of the Hollywood life. I would not want that life for me, to be quite honest, but it's kind of neat to see. And I think the author of this used to be like who wrote articles for like one of those like magazines or whatever, so she kind of got the insights of it. So there'll be like little secrets in here that she'll kind of talk about, which I really enjoyed. But yeah, it had like even like texting in here, so it was ahead of its time because this was like a mid 2000s series. So yeah, it was just like a good fun read when I was younger, and me and my sister loved it. So finishing off, this was probably a series when I was really young. I want to say I started reading this when I was younger, and also has my name in here as well. Oh goodness, I like to write my name in books when I was younger. But it was the series of Unfortunate Events books by Lemony Snicket. I loved this series growing up. I remember reading it, and then I would finish the book, and then we would go to the bookstore in town to get the next one. And I just genuinely really loved this series. It was near and dear to my heart. I remember when the 13th book came out, we went to the bookstore to get it, and I finished it within a day. Like, I was so engrossed to it. I kind of want to go back and read it. I'm really happy now that they're kind of redoing it in a Netflix format. I thought they did a really a good job of staying true to the books from what I remembered. I only really remembered the first 3. The 4th one, I was like, I don't remember any of this. But I really love this series. It was like I said, I didn't have Harry Potter growing up. Like, I didn't read it until I was like older. So like I said, with like the Gallagher Girls series, and then like this one, like that was like my Harry Potter growing up when I was younger. So I'm really attached to these as well. So yeah, they mean a lot, and I just love them. So this is kind of like an honorable mention. Like, I'll just add a 6th one in here as well because I loved it growing up. I remember reading it in like grade 3 or 4, and it is the Spiderwick Chronicles. I'm sure you're all familiar with this, but I really love this series growing up. I always pictured myself as Mallory. In grade 6, I remember we had to come in dressed up as one of our favorite characters, and we had to write like a paper on them. So I dressed up as Mallory and all of that stuff. So I really liked it. I love the movie as well. I thought it was really well done. I was really disappointed though that they didn't include the fourth book, which was like my favorite. They did change it, but I feel like it was pretty well done considering they had to condense like these 5 books into one. But I love the series. I did try reading it back in February, and I was like, I don't know, I have a hard time reading, like, especially because this is like written for like ages 7 and up, so like it's hard for me to like kind of grasp that, and Simon is just like a little prick. But yeah, I really love this series growing up, and all these books kind of are like near and dear to my heart because they just mean so much. So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below what some of your books that mean a lot to you when you were a kid. And yeah, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. And so yeah, I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.